I'm delighted here to be with my dear friend, Treasurer Fiona Ma, and some of her staff. Little rules of the road for our webinar so that it would go off efficiently, and the panelists would have a great opportunity to share what they're doing and the programs that they run. For all of the attendees, please stay on mute, if you would.
On doing an in-person small business outreach seminar with your chamber. And I just want to thank your team, my team, and all the speakers for accommodating this new normal as we are continuing to stay connected during this time. This is probably my 24th webinar, mostly geared towards small businesses because there is so much coming out so quickly from the federal level, from the state level, even from individual companies that have different grant and loan programs. So I hope today will be very helpful for all of your members. I just want to announce a couple things before I kick it off. Number one, beware of scams. With the stimulus money coming out from the federal government, and maybe you're waiting for your PPP loan or your EIDL loan, there may be people impersonating government officials, claiming to want to verify your social security number or perhaps your bank routing number. Please know that government agencies will never call you for your personal information or ask you for your routing number or ask you to pay any type of money online. So those are scams. Please hang up or close your computer if you get those. Number two, I have a website. My outreach team, external affairs team has been updating these different resource guides on my website, and it's www.treasure.ca.gov. They should be putting up the websites and links as we go through this presentation. But we have two buttons. One is at covid19.ca.gov, and that is our official health website. So we encourage people to go to that website for what is real and facts versus some of the myths that's going around on social media. The second button is my COVID-19 small business or resources guide, which has updated information for small businesses. You can click on the Google worksheet and it'll take you directly to those different agencies or links. It has one for food safety, for tax relief, as well as to help and assist individuals. So that is being updated in real time. We hope people will log on. If we don't answer questions here today, please feel free to email us anytime at askfiona@treasure.ca.gov, and we will get your answer as quickly as possible, or at least connect you with the people who can provide you the answers. Our newsletter was just launched yesterday, and that can also be found on our website. We have a monthly newsletter that we try to keep updated for everyone out there. And again, I will be on the entire time. I know we have great speakers from our different state agencies today, and I hope we leave time for question and answers, but we really hope that you will get a lot out of this. And again, thank you to the Santa Cruz Chamber of Commerce and my good friend Casey for hosting us here today. And I want to just introduce the first speaker. It is Emily Burgos from the IBank. She is with the Small Business Finance Center. So thank you, Emily, for joining us today.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And thank you for having me here. As Treasurer Ma mentioned, I am the manager of the Small Business Finance Center at IBank. We are housed at the Governor's Office of Business and Economic Development. And, our program's been around since the late 60s. Right now, we're focusing on our small business loan guarantee program. And many of you may have seen that on April 2nd, the governor announced a $50 million infusion into my program in order to assist with disaster recovery. We've seen a lot of big federal dollars floating around the state, and we really wanted to make sure that we were providing access to capital for folks that were not able to get access to federal dollars. So the way a guarantee program works is quite simple. I use the money I was given to provide security on a loan that a lender makes to a business. So in this case, the lender would make a loan to a business that can't get access to SBA because they don't qualify. And those loan proceeds can be used for the cure of economic injury or for business continuance. And actually, if you can click on that link now, I can show my webpage. Maybe not. I'll keep talking while we pull that up. So what we're really hoping to do here is target small dollar loans. So loans 50,000 and under for folks that need some assistance with business continuance costs, but don't have access to SBA resources. Now on my website, we do have a beautiful infographic that explains step-by-step how to access the program. Currently, we're partnering with very specific lenders who target the communities that we're hoping to target. So those would be our CDFI community. Thank you, Noah. So here's the infographic. As of right now, some of our lenders are tied up with the last of the PPP loans. So what I recommend you do is refer back to this website regularly. If you scroll just a little bit farther down, after it explains how the program works, there are some basic criteria on how to figure out if you're eligible. If you scroll down a little bit farther, thank you. Okay, that's good. You'll see that you should apply directly with a lender. Now, right now, we only have 3 lenders on the list. 2 of them are only helping existing clients currently, and 1 of them is limited by geography. I will say that we have a couple in the pipeline that are working diligently day and night to be ready to come on board. So I would continue to check this website, especially the end of this week, beginning of next week, for new names to pop up on this list. In the meantime, if we can go to the next slide of my presentation, here's the documentation you should get together to be the most prepared to apply for some of these loans. Perfect. Now, each lender's underwriting criteria are going to vary, but if you have this documentation ready to go, then you'll be in the best position to apply for one of these loans. Can we pull up the presentation one more time? Thank you. Excellent. So all the lenders are going to want to see at least 1 year of business and personal tax returns. If you don't have 2019, 2018 will suffice. Your year-end financials and 3 months of personal and business bank statements. So making sure you have these ready to go in an electronic format is going to make you the most prepared to apply for these loans once those lenders come online. Let me check and see if there's any questions. Excellent. And it looks like I answered that one. Now, if you do think of any questions after the presentation, I'm putting an email in the chat box that you can reach out to with any questions you may have. IBank.ca.gov. This is monitored daily by staff, and we're able to answer any questions that you have about potential eligibility, possible lenders, or any documentation that you may need to get together. So I'll pause and see if anybody else has any questions. Excellent. So I have a question. It's a pretty consistent question about whether or not nonprofits are eligible. As a general rule of thumb, yes, nonprofits are eligible. We don't exclude specific types of nonprofits. For example, we don't exclude 501c6s, which are excluded from the federal program, but we do have limitations on lobbying activity. So this tends to be the challenge with the 501c6. We will definitely be asking more questions about the business activity. We want to make sure that we're not supporting lobbying activities. Another main exclusion in the program is anything that has to do with passive real estate or housing. So if a client owns a building and they're not getting rent payments from tenants, whether it be a business building or a housing building, we're not going to be able to support that particular client. Next question says, what are the limits of revenue or employees? So those are very broad. We don't have limits on revenue, but we do limit employees to 750 or less. And then the next question says, what about chambers of commerce? Can they apply? Again, it goes back to the lobbying question. So we'll definitely want to dig into how you make your money and what your business activity is. If advocacy is a huge portion of your business, we probably won't be able to assist you. But if networking is the main component of your business as a chamber, then that may be something we can assist with. Any other questions? Excellent. Let's see. This next one says, I work for a small gym and will be taking over soon. Have not done the complete transfer yet. How would that work? So I'm going to assume that you're in the process of purchasing this business and you need some funds for continuance to get through this particular pandemic. Again, you could apply directly with a lender. Since this is a somewhat unique situation, you're not going to have ownership for the last year, right? And they're asking for 1 year business expenses. So you may be able to use the business's previous tax returns in order to show revenue. That one you may want to email me separately at that COVID-19 email box. And we may be able to kind of connect you with a lender who's ready to take on that case. Will we be personally responsible for repayment? So each lender will decide whether or not they're going to take a personal guarantee, but these loans are not forgivable. So they do need to be repaid. Any questions? And I'll give a couple more minutes for folks to type in. Will the new lenders serve outside of their customers? Yes. And as soon as the lenders that are currently only working with their customers have serviced all their customers, they will probably be extending to outside clients as well. The terms is the next question. What are the terms of these loans? So we leave the terms between you and the lender. The only limitation I have is that I will only support the loan for up to 7 years. So if the lender wants to make the term of the loan longer than 7 years, my guarantee only goes for 7 years. That being said, I haven't seen any of these loans being amortized for quite that long. The interest rate is also set by the lender. However, I am offering a higher guarantee for lower interest rates. So right now I'll offer a 95% guarantee for any interest rate prime plus 1 or lower. And as the interest rate raises, my guarantee reduces. That's a great question. Thank you. We'll just give it a second to see if there's any other questions that are going to trickle in. Excellent. Doesn't look like there's anything trickling in. I'll give it another 30 seconds or so. Perfect. Okay, do you have any idea how long the funds will be available? At this point, I would just be guessing. Because there's been some unexpected developments with the federal programs, meaning we got more money, definitely it's been a slow start. However, I highly anticipate that once those resources are exhausted and our lenders are fully focused on this program, we will be out of money pretty quickly. So definitely want to get your paperwork in order and keep an eye on our website so that you can be first in line to apply when those new lenders pop up. The total amount available, that's a great question. So there was $50 million allocated to the program. One of the great things about a guarantee program is that it can be leveraged. So I received $50 million, but I'm going to be able to leverage that into $100 million worth of guarantees. So there will be about $100 million worth of loans available under this program with partnered lenders. And again, we're really focused on those loans under $50,000. That's a great question. How many loans have been distributed to date? So I believe the last announcement that the governor made was about 2 weeks ago. We had about 49 loans. As I mentioned, it's been a bit slow to start. We had a statewide lender early on in the program who had a small amount of money set aside to make these loans, and they blew through it in about a week. So, once PPP is fully executed and our lenders that are in the pipeline can get on board, we're going to see probably more than that in a week. just like to remind folks that this program is for people who do not qualify for SBA. So we're really encouraging all of the businesses that we come in contact with to try and access those SBA dollars. We're talking about hundreds of billions of dollars. It's huge federal money that we don't always have access to as a state. So we want to make sure we're taking advantage of it. Next question is, are credit unions eligible to be a lender? Absolutely. We allow banks, credit unions, and CDFIs to be a lender under the program. And if folks are committed to hitting our target market and our target dollar size, we do have an expedited review and approval process in order to get those loans done quickly. Excellent. Give it a few more minutes. And I don't know what the Spanish-speaking population in Santa Cruz is currently, but our infographic is also available in Spanish. Excellent. Well, it looks like we might not have any more questions. I'm gonna look at the green light from Casey.
Emily, wonderful. Thank you so much for your excellent presentation and kind of a summary of the program. I would encourage folks that are on this call to consider this IBank program. It's very innovative for the state of California, and it really creates another opportunity for the state to help small businesses. Thank you so much, Emily, and I'll let you introduce the next speaker.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So it's my pleasure to introduce Jonathan Herrera from CalSavers at the Treasurer's Office to share more opportunities for you folks during this time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Emily, for introducing me. And thank you so much to Casey and the Chamber for letting me join you all today. Thank you to Treasurer Ma for letting me join today. And thank you all for joining us today as business owners. I'm sure that you all have a great deal going on right now. And I'd like to assure you that we at CalSavers know that many employers are facing unprecedented challenges right now. And appreciate you joining and allowing me to join, to let you know that CalSavers is committed to supporting employers by offering extra support and flexibility. And it may seem at face value that we don't exactly fit in on a webinar about COVID relief programs, but we did have some important updates that we wanted to share with you today. So my goal is to give you a brief overview of the background of the program, tell you a little bit how it works, and and tell you what the employer's responsibilities are, and then talk a little bit about how we at CalSavers are responding to the COVID situation. So, if you don't mind clicking my slides, thank you. So, really quick background, we like to start by talking about, what the situation is in California that exists that led the legislature to creating the CalSavers program. And what it really comes down to, next slide, please, Noah, is that nearly half of Californians are on a trajectory to retire into economic hardship. And we think that a key driver of that is that there's 7.5 million Californians who are going to work every day like you and me, but are unable to save because they lack access to a workplace-based retirement savings program. And that's particularly important because the research shows that workers are 15 times more likely to be saving and be on a path towards retirement security if they have access to a workplace-based savings vehicle. So with that situation in mind, the legislature passed Senate Bill 1234 back in 2016. Now go ahead with the next slide, please. One more. And it really did a couple of important things. I think first and foremost, the really important thing is to let all of you business owners know is that there is a new mandate on employers. And I know this isn't the best time to be talking about such things, but it is what it is. So going forward, any business in the state with at least 5 employees is going to need to either offer a qualified retirement plan from the existing market. We do have a list available on our website of all the different private sector plans that qualify for an exemption, or register for our program and facilitate your employees' access to our program. Second key feature of the program that we always like to talk about is that it does feature automatic enrollment for employees. It is completely voluntary for them because they can opt out at any time and opt back in. But it is important that employees know that if they don't opt out within the first 30 days, they do get automatically enrolled. Another important thing is if you are either self-employed or a contract worker, gig worker, we did open the program for individual enrollment. So folks can just go to our website and sign up for their own account anytime they want. Number 3, we're designing the program as a public-private partnership. We've contracted with 3 private sector financial firms to manage the day-to-day operations of the program and do all the investments. So you get the expertise of these private sector financial firms, but with state oversight from a public 9-member public board chaired by the state treasurer, Fiona Ma. And then 4th key feature that I always like to talk about, we're building this program at 0 cost to the state, taxpayer, employer. It's going to be completely self-sufficient based on the fees that we charge participants in the program, so that we won't have to charge the taxpayers or you as the employer. Next slide, please. So going back to that first point is that there are some requirements, and this is an example of how we are trying to adjust to the situation. So depending on the size of the business is what determines your registration deadline for the program or your need to secure a private sector plan for your employees. With businesses with more than 100 employees, the original deadline was June 30th of 2020 of this year. But you know, given the situation, knowing that employers are very focused on their immediate needs, trying to keep the doors open, we are extending the deadline to September 30th of this year. But the next 2 deadlines remain intact. If you have more than 50 employees, you'll need to either sponsor a plan or register for CalSavers by June 30th of 2021. And businesses with 5 or more employees will have until June 30th of 2022. But keep in mind that once we open the program statewide on July 1st, it's actually open for all eligible businesses. So if your business is still up and running and you are interested in getting started early to help your employees save for their retirement, you're welcome to join at any time. And then I'll note one more time, for businesses with less than 5 employees, those businesses are not subject to the mandate and aren't required to register for the program. In fact, can't register for the program. But because of that individual enrollment feature, your employees or yourself as the business owner or contractor or gig worker can sign up for the program on your own anytime you want. Next slide, please. So really quickly, let me just go through the requirements or responsibilities for employers who do decide to facilitate CalSavers. Of course, you do need to register by your state required deadline and set up your account, but that's a really simple process of just going to our website, setting up your new username and password, and telling us a little bit about how you pay your employees and what pay cycle they're on so that we can help you set up your payroll so that it works for your business. You do need to submit a roster of your employees. That's sort of the key to the automatic enrollment feature. Once we have that list, we do all the communication with your employees, so you don't have to worry about distributing forms or collecting opt-out forms. That's all done by the program. And then after that 30-day employee decision period, you'll start submitting the employee contributions for each pay period as part of your existing payroll process. And those are really the only 2 ongoing responsibilities for the employers: maintaining that roster and then submitting the contributions as part of your existing payroll process. Quick note on things that employers will not do. I said once before, but I'll keep saying it over and over again. You will not have any program fees as an employer. You don't have any fiduciary responsibility. You aren't allowed to make an employer contribution, so no matches allowed in this program, unfortunately. And then a couple of other things. Employers must not encourage or discourage participation in the program, provide advice about investment options or taxes, manage investment options, process distributions, or manage any of the other changes that employees have to make, which, you know, was designed on purpose because we wanted to alleviate some of that traditional administrative burden that comes with your typical 401k plan or employer-sponsored plan. Next slide, please. So just a really quick note about what the program is and how it works for your employees. It is set up as an automatic payroll deduction IRA. So contributions are deducted directly from your employees' paychecks and deposited into an IRA account that is in their name and they own at all times. Again, it's completely voluntary for your employees. They can opt out at any time or opt back in. And our goal was really to design it to be as simple as possible, both for you as the employer and for the employees. So for the employees, you know, it features automatic enrollment. We've got some default settings that we think, you know, we set up to be reflective and beneficial for people in you know, various stages of their financial lives. but we do give savers the ability to customize their settings. They can choose their own contribution rate. They can choose their investments from our very small, simple set of investment options that we have available for the program. And then again, it's completely portable because that IRA account belongs to the employee at all times. It follows them anywhere they go. So if they leave your place of employment, chances are, especially 3 years from now when the program is fully rolled out, chances are they'll end up at another CalSavers participating employer, in which case after that 30-day decision period, their contributions will go right into their existing CalSavers account. If they end up somewhere where they are not offering CalSavers, say they have an employer-sponsored plan, the saver can move their money to the employer-sponsored plan. They can keep it and let it grow on the side, just ignore it, or they can continue to make contributions on their own if they choose to. And then I mentioned, that the program was going to be completely self-sufficient based on the fees that we charge the savers. So our goal obviously was to keep the fees as low as possible for the program. But just like any other, 401k or similar program, there is a small fee that the savers will pay in order to cover the administrative and the investment costs. But we're proud to say that, depending on the investment option they choose, they'll pay only, 83 to 95 cents for every $100 in their account per year. So very cheap, very competitive, and the price will only go down as the program grows. So if we could do the next slide, please. Before I open it up for questions, I just wanted to talk a little bit about how, we at CalSavers are responding to the COVID-19 crisis. One more slide, please, Noah. So for savers, for people who are already in our account or in the program and have accounts, we want, everybody to know that our goal is to continue to ensure the safe custody and investment of their contributions and the timely processing of account requests. But we're also seeing, as a result of this crisis, how really important it is for the public to have short and long-term financial stability, and our program was really designed for that. So number one, we designed the default as a Roth IRA, which we think is awesome for this situation because all of the contributions that employees made were done tax-free. And the Roth IRA allows for penalty-free withdrawals of contributions. So any employee that has an account with us that has some money in it, if they're experiencing hardship, they can actually withdraw their contributions without paying taxes or penalties. And that could be the difference of, keeping food on the table until, their unemployment check comes in or something like that. The other design feature that we're really proud of now is that, we designed the default so that the first $1,000 that anybody contributes goes into a money market fund, a capital preservation fund designed to protect employees' savings from the ups and downs of the market. So, we just saw the market take a tumble as a result of this crisis, but, 85% of our savers and more than 75% of the assets in our program are all invested in our capital preservation fund. So they're not experiencing, the same market volatility that folks in other investment options might be. For employers, as we said, CalSavers is committed to supporting you through these uncertain times, offering extra support and flexibility, including extending the wave one deadline, so you don't have to worry about figuring out how you're going to respond to this requirement during this crisis. Hopefully, we'll be well on the road to recovery before your business will have to worry about it. Unless the employer has an account with us, they can, in which case you can withdraw from your account without paying taxes or penalties. We just want employers to know that as we move forward into recovery, CalSavers will continue to be here to offer our simple way for your employees to save as they return to work, with no fees for you and no fiduciary liability for you. And I think that sort of concludes my portion of the presentation. So Noah, if you click to the next slide, that has my contact information. You can feel free to reach out to me directly if you have any questions. I see there are already a few in the chat, but it also has other ways to get a hold of our program. Our website is calsavers.com. All of our socials are here. If you visit our website, you'll see ways that you can contact our local field representatives that can, reach out to your business and help provide any support that you need if you do need to connect with us for extra assistance. So with that, thank you so much for listening, and I'll be happy to answer your questions.
Jonathan, this is Casey. Thank you so much for your presentation. Really appreciate this small business opportunity where people can save for their employees and their employers. Quick question. One of the questions is, if a small business owner has 4 part-time employees, are they and he eligible?
Yes. So, well, it depends. If that employer is considered an employee of the business and is collecting a regular paycheck, then yes, then they are eligible for the program, because when we're looking at your number of employees, it doesn't matter how many hours they work. So part-time, full-time, seasonal, if you're issuing an average of 5 W-2s per year, then you'll be eligible for the program.
Great, thank you. Second question, if an employer has an existing 401k program, do they need to re-enroll? If we wanted to end that 401k program, could employees' funds be transferred to a CalSavers program?
So to answer the first question, if you have an existing 401k program, you are exempt from the mandate. Most likely, if you haven't received any notifications from us that you need to register, then that means that we've identified your business and see that you're already offering that 401k program. If you do get notifications from us and you're sponsoring a 401k, there is a really easy way to let us know and just certify your exemption. Just check out our website or connect with me and I can walk you through it. We're certainly hoping that we don't see businesses ending their 401k. We're certainly not here to compete with plans on the private market. And there are a lot of great features of your 401k that CalSavers just doesn't have. But if you know, that decision was made, then yes, employees are allowed to transfer funds from, you know, existing employer-sponsored plans to CalSavers. They might want to check with a tax advisor just to make sure that it's compatible, and they won't have any tax liabilities for doing so.
Wonderful. We have a follow-up question. Will there be an interest paid for the savings from the state?
That's a great question. So actually the state is not managing the investments. We've actually contracted with 2 investment management firms. We've got 5 investment options available. 4 out of those 5 are managed by State Street Global Advisors. And then our 5th one is our sustainable investment plan, because we thought it was important to have an option there that recognized how important it was to invest in environmentally and socially responsible companies. But that one's actually sponsored by Newton managed by Newton Investment. So yes, interest is paid on the on those accounts based on the performance of those investments.
Thank you, Jonathan. Any other questions, please go to the chat line, or if not, you can always reach out to calsavers.com for any follow-up. Let's give it a second, see if anybody else has any other questions. Seeing none, thank you, Jonathan. Would you be delighted to introduce the next speaker, please?
Yes, it would be my pleasure. So I'd like to introduce my colleague, Janie Davis, who is with the CalCAP program, also at the State Treasurer's Office. Thank you very much.
Good morning. Thank you very much, Jonathan. I appreciate the introduction. Thank you, Casey, for having us join you in Santa Cruz today. It's delightful. Thank you, Treasurer Ma, for having us be part of your webinar today. We really appreciate starting the week off by addressing small businesses and take the opportunity to talk about our CalCAP for Small Business program and how it can assist small businesses. Next slide, please. Why is the CalCAP, or why is the California Pollution Control Financing Authority in the business of small business? That's kind of the $1 million question these days. The California Pollution Control Financing Authority, which is chaired by State Treasurer Fiona Ma, was initiated to issue bonds for the purposes of stimulating the economy by doing environmental cleanup and creating jobs through the issuance of tax-exempt bonds. We've expanded our authority to now participate in offering credit enhancements and loans and grants. As I mentioned, we were originated as a conduit issuer of tax-exempt pollution control financing bonds. From there, we used the fees that we got from our bond issuance and have initiated some programs to help small businesses through our Small Business Assistance Fund. We started by providing incentives to small businesses that issue waste and recycling type bond projects. These your waste companies that pick up your trash and the recycling companies. We offer the small businesses an opportunity to offset the cost of issuing these bonds by helping to cover the cost of issuance. That's through our tax-exempt bond program. Then next we created in 1994 our CalCAP program, our California Capital Access Program, which is what I'm focusing on today. And we've established this program as a loan loss reserve program that is where we establish loan loss reserve accounts for participating lenders in our program. Then from there, we also have a Cal Reuse program where we have provided grant and loan funding for the assessment and remediation of brownfield sites in California. Next slide. Our CalCAP program list. Under our CalCAP umbrella, we have our main staples are our CalCAP for Small Business program. This is often most of the borrowers in this program use the capital to fund working capital, startup costs, and other typical credit needs, including the construction or renovation of buildings. In this time, they might use it for having to help pay their employees or get the inventory they need to help cover their changing inventory needs. We also have a collateral support program. The collateral support program is a little different than our small business program. It's not really the loan loss reserve type program I mentioned before, but this program is for businesses who have strong credit but might lack the sufficient capital they need to get the type of funding they need for their businesses. This program is often used for bridge loans. If a business is waiting from a loan from the SBA or from a local government, they might use the collateral support program for that purpose. We also have the CalCAP Air Resources Board on-road heavy-duty vehicle air quality program. And I know that's a mouthful, but we call it the CalCAP CARB program. And this is for small fleet owners that need to finance trucks to be compliant with the California engine emission standards. This is we work in tandem with CARB, the California Air Resources Board, in order to provide truck owners those clean trucks to get our, we're relying a lot on our truck drivers right now to get us what we need, and we're seeing a lot of loans in this program. Our CalCAP, we have another program, the CalCAP Electric Vehicle Charging Station program, which helps small businesses. We provide an incentive for small businesses and lenders to finance new electric vehicle charging stations so that borrowers can provide their customers or their employees with the opportunity to have electric vehicles that can be able to charge during their work time or while they're running errands. We have a rebate component to that. That program is a little bit different than the others. We do have a rebate component. So if the borrower has been in good standing for 48 months, they're then able to get a rebate at the close of the loan. We have a program to help California businesses become ADA compliant. That's our CalCAP for CalCAP for ADA program. Then we have a program to help property owners, both small businesses and property owners, seismically retrofit their properties so that should there be an earthquake or a seismic event, their buildings can better withstand the earthquake. Today I'm going to focus on the CalCAP. Next slide. I'm gonna focus more on the CalCAP for Small Business program and the collateral support program, but I did want to provide you an overview of the number of loans that we've provided since the program was in existence. The CalCAP for Small Business program, we provided over 22,000 loans for loans totaling over $1.8 billion. The collateral support, you can see, these tend to be larger loans. the CalCAP for Small Business program, we have a lot of loans that we call microloans, and they're under $40,000. The collateral support, they tend to be larger in nature. That's why we have 288. Lenders have lent nearly $80 million in that program since 2013. Our CARB truck loan assistance program, which I mentioned earlier, we've had credit, and there's been more than $26,000 loans enrolled in that program for over $1.7 billion in loans. Then in our CalCAP electric vehicle charging station program, today, as of the end of last year, we had 2 loans enrolled. We have 1 more coming in that one. And then in our seismic safety program, it's a newer program, and we've had just 3 loans enrolled in that program. Next slide. It's really important. We've always been, our business has always been to work with lenders. We have a list of participating lenders that we work with. We're work with enrolling new lenders all the time, but we're kind of changing the way that we've done things in the past. Our focus has been a lot, oftentimes, on our lenders, but we're really encouraging small businesses to reach out to our participating lenders. And I put a snapshot here of our lender page where we have our lender contact list. This is really a good starting point for small businesses. And I've got the links here for each of these links goes to our participating lender list for that specific program. Next slide. So for the CalCAP Small Business Program, to give you an overview of that, those loans, as I mentioned earlier, generally support, they support loans made to small businesses, including startups and nonprofits, by facilitating private loans for startup, expansion, working capital. We often see loans for land acquisition, working capital, if people are wanting to work with state contractors. We get a lot of food truck loans in that program, which, again, I'm seeing a lot of interest in food trucks needing loans right now too, and construction and renovation of buildings, equipment, and inventory purchases. The maximum loan amount for the CalCAP for Small Business program is $5 million. That's the maximum loan amount. The maximum that can be enrolled in our program for coverage, for loan loss coverage, is $2.5 million. The participating lenders sent the terms and conditions on all the loans pursuant to their usual prudent underwriting standards. And these loans can be short-term or long-term. They can have a fixed or variable rates, and they can bear any type of amortization. We really encourage our lenders to work individually with each of the borrowers to make sure that they can get the borrower the best loan that they can possibly give. Next slide. Our collateral support program, as I mentioned, is a little bit different, and we tend to see larger loans in this program, but encourages loans and other financial institutions to make loans to small businesses by pledging cash to cover the collateral shortfall of the loan in order to enable the financing that might not otherwise be able to take place for the small business. Again, as I mentioned earlier, we see startup costs, franchise fees. We see a lot of bridge loans in this program. It's a good opportunity if somebody's waiting for an SBA loan to come through, that they can use the collateral support to help them bridge the need for that financing. Next slide. The collateral support program, it's a $50,000 minimum and a $20 million maximum. Which I mentioned, they tend to be larger loans. The extra, when we provide extra cash support, is available for green financing and manufacturing loans, and smaller loans between $50,000 and $250,000, and loans to businesses in severely affected communities, which I'll get into in a minute. We have a $2.5 million maximum collateral support per loan and borrower. Next slide. What we are doing to offset the COVID-19 and help small businesses that are directly impacted by COVID-19 is we are offering a supplemental contribution. Businesses that we have that they get an extra bump for being in a severely affected community, might be on their economic, what their unemployment rate is in that area is how we generally determine it. But now we've expanded that to make a supplemental contribution into the loan loss reserve for businesses that are affected by COVID-19. And we have a form that's a very simple form for the borrower and the lender to fill out that indicates that they've been affected by COVID-19, and we will then add a supplemental contribution into the lender's loan loss reserve. Whereas before it was based on the economically distressed geographic area, now we're doing it for COVID-19 impacts. Next slide. Our contact information, we're here for you. I gave you the lender contact information before, the list of lenders. I'm the Deputy Executive Director. Doreen Smith is our CalCAP program manager. And we have a bond program, which I mentioned early on too, that is there for small businesses that may need to issue bonds for their pollution control projects, recycling projects. Deanna Hamlin is our manager of that program, and I provided her contact information here. Now we can see if there's questions.
Janie, I think you wowed the audience to no questions. You're so thorough with the information. If anybody does have questions, on the up on the screen is the contact information, both email addresses and phone numbers. And down in the chat box, if you look at it, is the actual link to the website.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and any emails that we receive, we're trying to answer within, we have 2 staff members that are dedicated to reaching out to small business and talking with them. I know there's a lot of, the lenders are getting a lot of calls right now across the board, and I know there can be frustration, there can be, it's hard to be patient right now, and we're doing what we can to help the businesses that call us get in touch with our lenders. So don't hesitate to reach out to me or the other managers, and we'll do what we can to get you in touch with one of our lenders.
Well, Janie, thank you so much, and I'll give you the opportunity to introduce our last speaker.
Sure. I'd like to introduce Brandon Napoli, and he's with the SBC in Santa Cruz.
Take it away, Brandon.
There we go. Thank you so much. I just put my contact info into the chat. I realized I didn't have it on the slide. My name is Brandon Napoli. I'm the director of the Small Business Development Center here in Santa Cruz County. Next slide. The SBDC has been around for about 35 years now in Santa Cruz, serving all types of businesses throughout the county. We continue to grow our team. We're focused on helping people start and grow their businesses. That's how we're measured, and that's how we work with our clients. We offer a variety of different services that I'll get into. Next slide. So our team is comprised of over a dozen subject matter experts, many of which have actually owned and operated a business in Santa Cruz. We've expanded recently in the last 60 days to almost double the size of the team, really putting more emphasis on the financial side of the team to ensure that we can take on the amount of new clients that are coming in. Our professionals are anything from those that are in HR to ag, even tech, finance, IP law, accounting, marketing, and HR. Next slide. So what we really try to focus in on here in Santa Cruz County is building an entrepreneurial ecosystem for businesses, and we continue to work on this in 5 different areas. The first is and foremost is with our coaching and training. So like I mentioned, we offer one-on-one advising to really help businesses solve a problem. A lot of that is right now access to capital, and I'll get into that more on a slide coming up. We also provide connections to additional resources. We realize that If we don't know the best answer, we're absolutely try to connect you to someone that does. Additionally, we do offer a lot of access to capital. We aren't a financier, but we do have relationships with banks. We do prepare loan packages to ensure that you put your best foot forward and go over those things with you ahead of time and help you through that process. And then the last two things is we really try to instill a climate and culture in Santa Cruz that's pro small business for people to start and to grow their businesses. Next slide. So a couple new offerings that we do with our trainings. I mentioned advising, but our trainings, we've offered the typical trainings, anything from the HR to accounting and QuickBooks, to the general strategy, but we're also now offering e-commerce training. This is a training that we're going to be offering at least twice, if not 3 to 4 times a month, different levels of e-commerce. We also have a lot of those recordings on our website. So if you go to santacruzsbdc.org, on that front page, there's going to be some trainings that you can watch and review. We're also focused a lot on social media. We realize that you need to get the word out of what you're doing in your business. And the last thing is we're focusing on classes that talk about how to pivot your business. We realize that even when things open up, that it's not going to be exactly the same. And so there's going to be needing to think through new strategies, and we're here to help you do that. Next slide. So a couple of the advisory changes or focuses we have is, again, on HR. We realize there's a lot of HR policy. Want to make a disclaimer, we are not HR attorneys. We can absolutely point you to the right resource or help you to understand them a bit better. But when it comes down to sometimes specifics, that's when we usually refer to one of our resource partners. We also work, again, in business strategies. This can be anything from launching a business to launching a new department to launching a completely new business and working through what that looks like. The other two trainings that we're really focusing on right now is our marketing overall, connecting to your customers, and financial planning, really understanding your numbers. Next slide. So the third thing that we like to focus on here is relationships. So we do have quite a few relationships with different local banks throughout Santa Cruz County. They're the ones that we can typically try to get a hold of through an email or phone call. Sometimes that allows us to see, where you are in their process. It really depends. This is something that we were able to do absolutely before COVID-19 and things have gotten a little bit more hectic, but absolutely willing to try to help you connect with your banker or where you are in line with that bank. The other thing that we're also working to build out is relationships with third-party vendors. One in particular is with QuickBooks, and so we actually are able to offer a discount to QuickBooks Online. This is something that we want to encourage more and more clients to move from back of the napkin sketch of their numbers to something that's more professional, allows us to have more tools to operate and really analyze their business, what their needs are, and where they hope to go. Next slide. So a couple of just tools I want to finish up on here. I think I have about 4 or 5 more slides real quick. Is the first thing I like to talk to clients about is right now you might not be able to work in your business as much as you used to, but hopefully you can take that time and work on your business. I have 2 examples here. This is a tool that's used by a lot of tech companies to raise capital, but I think it's, what I'm trying to do is take some of the best tools used in other industries and apply them to Main Street. So this is a pitch deck structure. And these are 2 businesses, whether you like Airbnb or not. Tom's Shoes, I think, is a little bit more digestible with extremely strong, compelling stories. Tom's Shoes, if you're not familiar, every shoe that you purchase from them, they create a shoe for a person in need in a developing country. And I think it's time that we really go back and figure out what's the compelling story that our business can tell, and really hold on to that and infuse that into everything that we do. Next slide. So one of the tools with that is this golden circle, starting with why and working out to what. A lot of times what we do is really defines us instead of why we do it. And so again, taking a moment to think, what is your why? Is that compelling? How does that influence your how you do something, and then what you actually do? And this is an example with Apple, quite a larger, larger business, but one that we all know of. And so again, this is a TEDx talk, one of the most popular ones by Simon Sinek, talking about this golden circle idea and starting again with why. And I think if we go to, what's really driving us to stay in business, a lot of times it's really a deep why that's doing that. And we need to really just communicate that to all of our stakeholders for them to buy in and to continue to stay loyal to our business. Next slide. So design thinking is also a really valuable tool, and the most popular class at Stanford too is this design thinking class for a reason. This is really a time to rethink how you're going to reconnect with your customers, who in many ways are also very fragile and just not able to have the typical structure that you're used to. So again, I'm doing a very 50,000-foot flyover of these tools. Happy to go again in more detail of these things. Just want to put them on your radar. But this one starts with really empathizing what is a challenge that your customer is facing, prototyping that, and then going to the point where you actually test that and put it into practice. But much more of an agile method of doing business than the same old, same old. Next slide. This one, Porter's 5 Forces, apologies for the typo there, is a very simple but powerful tool for understanding the competitiveness of your business environment and for identifying your strategy's potential profitability. So this is used by a Harvard business professor to really help much larger companies, but I think this can again be applied to Main Street to really understand what is your competition now and how are you going to be profitable with your existing or a new strategy. Next slide. And the last two here is again going back to the basics of understanding your business model and is it agile. For those that have been in business for quite a while, there's no question that you knew how your business operated. Things have obviously changed. And a lot of what I've tried to do here with entrepreneurs is getting out of their head and onto paper so we can all be helpful to you. This model here goes over almost every aspect of your business. And again, this is something that you can download for free from our website. But it's very, very helpful to get out of your head onto paper, allow us to work with you or other stakeholders that really want you to succeed, to really understand where you are, what you know, what you don't know, and where you're trying to go. Last slide. I like to end with numbers. I'm a numbers person, and really what I like to get down to is you've got to know your numbers. You got to be the owner of your numbers to be a small business owner. And right now, again, it's very unpredictable in many ways, and so we need to play out a couple different scenarios here. One thing to take into consideration, bankers are extremely busy, and one thing I know about bankers is they do prioritize. And a lot of times they prioritize not just about, what is the largest account or what is something that's like the most profitable account, but what is the easiest transaction they can work on, right? And so if you can know your numbers, make them clean, make sure that they again tie into a good story, tie into your business model, understand what's going to happen in month 3 if month 2 doesn't end up the way you think it's going to. That instills a lot of confidence in the people that you want to grab their attention. Additionally, a lot of CPAs are going to be very busy during this time frame, and at the end of the day, you are in charge and you are on hook for the performance of your business. And so understanding your numbers is something you really, really need to know. If you don't know, again, we are happy to sit down with you and work through these exercises. That's my last slide, so I'll take some questions.
Brandon, thank you so much for a great presentation. For the folks that are on the call, you should be really proud of Santa Cruz County. This Small Business Development Center has been ranked one of the top business centers in the country. And Brandon's doing a wonderful job at the helm of that organization that's based out of Cabrillo College. And when the COVID-19 hit, we turned to Brandon to be kind of the eyes and ears on the street for small businesses. And he has taken on the charge and expanded his team to be very, what I call very innovative and very flexible in trying to help small businesses here in Santa Cruz County. If you don't know Brandon, you'll see him around town. He's been involved in the chamber since he got here. And I would take, if you're a small business, really take advantage of the programs that they run. They're outstanding. I guess I don't see any questions for you, Brandon. So I'm going to ask the treasurer to come back online and give us some closing remarks if she has time.
Okay, can you hear me?
We can.
All right, thank you. Thank you again, Casey and Emily, Jonathan, Janie, Brandon, Noah, Star from my team, and my other outreach folks. I just have a couple of other things just to add. Number one, the state treasurer's office has been open for business this entire time. Being your banker, we take in all of the money that's out there. We transfer it to our state controller, Betty Yee. We invest money, not only for the state, but for Santa Cruz County as well and all the cities. And we thank you for entrusting us. And all of our BCAs, my boards, commissions, and authorities are also open and operating under the modified meeting guidelines. So affordable housing, we are continuing to move forward with allocating credits as well as bonds. This week, we launched a new program for small health facilities, including skilled nursing homes for an interest-free loan. So we hope you'll apply. And again, the Assembly is coming back today. They are in session. The Senate will be coming back next week. We're not sure what bills they will or will not be taken up during this COVID-19 crisis, but stay tuned. There is going to be a lot more news about the bills that are going to be moving through. Gavin Newsom also has a weekly, actually a daily press conference. It's called Newsom at Noon, so he is always on at noon. Last week, he announced the approved outdoor activities and also a new program to feed seniors in their homes by utilizing small businesses. And today is the kickoff for National Small Business Week. Thank you for supporting your small businesses during this time, especially the restaurants, by ordering out or buying customer gift cards. It is really making a difference in keeping them open. There's also a statewide hotline for seniors. It is 833-544-2374, and they do have multiple languages. So for seniors who are looking for assistance or resources, please send them over to that line. And then if you've lost your job, there are two really good websites. Obviously the edd.ca.gov has extensive FAQ sheets and answers to any questions that you may have. And then the state entered into a public-private partnership and have listed about 110,000 jobs, hopefully to match people up with job opportunities that are out there. And that website is onwardca.org. So again, thank you all for all you're doing during this time. We know it's difficult. We thank you for your patience and your cooperation. We are bending the curve on COVID-19, so that's the great news for California, thanks to the leadership of Governor Gavin Newsom and his team. And I know we're all itching to get back to work. And I think today, if you watch Governor Newsom, he is going to be starting to roll out some sort of plan so that we can reopen California. So again, be safe, be well, take care of each other. We will get through this stronger together. Thank you, Casey.
Fiona, you're so wonderful to join us here in Santa Cruz County. I wanted to thank all of the people that are on the call that listened and asked questions. You can always reach out to the treasurer's office or the other programs that were on the plan, and you can always reach out to the chamber for advice and input. It's a pleasure to represent all of you, and thank you again, Fiona. Next time, I hope to see you in person.
Yes,
final comments, we have recorded this webinar for the folks that weren't on the call, and we will post it up so it'll be available, and we'll have the slide presentation also as part of the program. So for that, please be safe, be calm, and buy local.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.